Alright, so now we get to go over my favorite part of the game, which are the angelic scripts, or the Malachim. Love going over these because there's a lot of combinations that you can use with the angelic scripts, using two or more of these together, or using these in conjunction with the angelic abilities that we've discussed. So the first one that we'll go over, and there's two in each deck, is Liberate. Liberate has a cost of 1. And every time I mention cost, also keep in mind that means that if you burn the card, you would gain that much power. If you play the card, you would pay the cost, which is 1, and gain the ability. So the ability of Liberate is when it's played, this allows all of your active angels to move more than their movement allowance for the rest of your turn. So the angels that can only move 2 spaces, they can move as many spaces as you have movement cubes to be able to afford their movement. For the leader that can only move 1, if you use a Liberate, and if your power bar is charged at 5, you can let them move 5 spaces in that one turn by playing Liberate. And we'll go over some other script cards as well that you can use in combination with this. And there was an angel that we talked about in our previous video that when activated you get 1 movement cube for each active angel that's on the board. So using a Liberate in combination with some of those scripts for that particular angel ability can lead to a really nice score.
You can clean house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen people use that card and score upwards to 30 points while using Liberate and that angel that you had spoken about when their maximum, or when their power meter was up to 5, and then some other of these scripts here. One of them, which we'll be coming to. Actually, I'll just do that one now.
Okay.
Do this one first. Here we've got Blur, 2 in each deck, cost of 1. Gain 3 additional movement cubes. Maximum movement rules must still be followed. So you get 3 additional movement cubes. But then if you were to play Liberate on top of that, you can break those movement cubes.
Exactly.
Or movement allowances.
Allowances, yeah.
So there's 3 movement cubes right there. And then so, I mean, you could...
So if your power bar is at 5, let's say you play Blur, if you do like a Blur Liberate combo, your power meter's at 5, you play Blur to get 3, you play Liberate. So if you wanted to, you could move 1 angel 8 spaces or 2 angels 4 spaces. You can break their movement allowance and move as many spaces as you want. And I've seen a lot of Liberate Blur combinations being used. Now here's one of the ones that I like as well. This angelic script is called Shift. And there's 2 in each deck. They have a cost of 1. I like Shift because it can be used in an offensive and as a defensive purpose as well. So when you play Shift, what it allows you to do is swap places on the board with 2 angels that you own. So an offensive use of this would be, let's say you have 1 angel on Earth, which is in the middle of the board, and he can only move 2 spaces. Well, that will put you 1 space away from the scoring zone. You could then play Shift to swap his position with another angel that has yet to use his movement and hopefully worth more points. Get them to swap positions and then use the remainder of your movement cubes to push him into score. So that would be an offensive use of Shift. A defensive use of Shift, which Aaron actually did in our How to Play video, is I attack an angel and I have a favorable element pairing. I should win. He shifts positions with another angel, thereby changing the outcome of the combat. So this can be used both offensively and defensively. So that's a good script as well.
Now, one thing I did want to mention about that one, it does not specify whether the angels have to be active or inactive. It's just 2 angels you own, so you can actually swap with an inactive angel.
Yep.
So in a defensive strategy, or even offense, I guess you could say, you could actually swap it with one of your inactive angels, which would, when you're in combat, which would actually force activation. So there's another little element you can throw in there with Shift. All right. The next one we have here is a real interesting script. It actually seems to be most everyone's favorite. It's called Pi, and there are 2 in each deck, And you'll notice that the cost for this is actually, it's a question mark. And the reason we do that is because there are actually 3 options on the card, and the cost is determined by which option you choose. So here they are. You may choose one of the following. You can either add 3 cards to your hand for only 1 power, or add 3 to your power pool for no cost at all, or you can add 3 movement cubes for 1 power. So it basically have some options, and it's a really neat card.
That's a very flexible card.
Very flexible.
Depending on what you're needing at that particular situation. If you're needing movement cubes because you have a Liberate, use Pi for the movement cubes. Right. If you have, let's say, 6 cards in your hand, well, since Kingdom doesn't have a maximum hand size and you're just wanting more options, you can play it for the extra cards. Mm-hmm. So yeah, depending on your situation and what you need at that particular time, Pi is a really good card. Yep. We actually had a running joke at all of the conventions that we went to that everybody loves Pi.
Yeah, and another use that I see this, or another purpose that I see this being used for quite often is, let's say you score and you have to deplete your power all the way down to 0. You obviously can't afford any more angelic scripts, however, except for this one, where you can add 3 to your power pool for no cost. So you can actually rebound on your power for no cost at all. Really good use of that one.
Yep. All right, the next one that we have, and there's 2 in each deck, is Placeholder, and the cost is 2. Placeholder is basically a nice little bluff card. What Placeholder allows you to do is you get to put Placeholder on the board as if it was an angel, but you have no idea what angel it is. And you can move this card across the board just like an angel. And in the description it says, put this card on the board face up as if it were an angel. Replace it with an angel in your hand when you attack, defend, or score. And the maximum movement value for Placeholder is 2. So this one is actually pretty cool. If you have your leader, let's say, in your hand, and you don't want to put them out on the board because your opponent might have a script that could get rid of them, you could put Placeholder on the board to basically protect his identity and march the Placeholder all the way down the board. And if your opponent decides to attack it, you get to basically replace Placeholder with any angel that's in your hand.
Automatically.
And automatically activating it, which triggers its ability. On the other hand, if your opponent's like, I have no idea what he has in his hand, I'm not going to attack his Placeholder. Well, then when you march all the way down the board and score, then you can replace this with more often than not, probably your highest point value angel that you have. So this is a great bluff card. I mean, it's like, okay, do I attack it? Do I not attack it? Placeholder is a good one.
Yep. All right, next one, real simple. 2 of them in each deck. Cost of 2, it's called Annul. And very simply, it cancels the last angelic script played by your opponent. So, yeah, it's really simple. It's a second, or if your opponent played a script, you can simply just play this one right on top of it and say, nope, not going to happen. I am canceling or annulling that script.
And if you've watched the How to Play video, you probably saw where Aaron actually annulled by annul, so that can be done as well. So yeah, annul's another cool one. Let's make sure. Okay, so all of the rest of them that we have here, there's 1 of each. And you'll see why, because they're very unique, but they can still be used in conjunction with some other cool stuff. So this one was also featured in our How to Play video. It has a cost of 1 and it's called Counterman. And basically what it allows you to do is recall one of your angels that's in play back into your hand. This one also has an offense and defensive purpose, believe it or not. In our How to Play video, I used it in a defensive strategy when Aaron attacked one of my angels and I knew I was going to lose the battle. Let's say that was a high-ranking angel that was worth 7 or 8 points and I don't want to lose that angel. If I had Countermand in my hand, I could play that to recall that angel back into my hand to save those points. And then the The offensive use of this particular one is, let's say you have an ability of an angel that you really like, and you would like to be able to trigger that ability twice. Like that one angel that we had that allows you to recover a script or angel
From your void.
from your void back into your hand. So you could play that angel, activate them, recover an angel or script back into your hand. Then you could play Counterman to recall that angel back into your hand again, play it on the next turn, activate him again, and pull another script or angel out of your turn. So this one is very versatile as well, has offense and defensive capabilities.
The next one, it's a rank 3, not rank 3, sorry. It costs 3. Power 3, summon. Search your draw deck for any one card, script or angel, and place it in your hand. Have your opponent then shuffle the rest of your deck and put it back in the draw pile. So basically all it is you get to search your entire deck for that one card that can really help you out right then and there. Really powerful. That's why it has the highest cost of 3. So you can also gain a lot of power by this too if you choose to burn it, because you can gain 3 in power. So very neat card.
Yeah, that one's cool. Like if your opponent has his leader out that's worth 10 points, and you haven't drawn your leader yet, and you're wanting to even out the playing field, if you have summon, you can actually summon your leader into combat. Or if you want to start working on some of those chains and stuff like that, you can start pulling a particular script that can chain with a particular angel ability. So summon has a lot of uses too, which is going to just depend on the situation that you're in.
Yeah, or let's say you're just one card away from creating a nasty combo.
And you know which one it is because you've learned the deck.
It's in your deck. You can play summon just to pull out that one card you need, like Liberate or something like that, so you can just create that nasty combo. It's a great card to use that for.
So the next card that we're going to go over is called Power Siphon, and it also has a cost of 2. What Power Siphon does is it drains your opponent's power pool to 0. So this is a pretty cool card too. So we all know that when you score in the game of Kingdom, you have to reset your power meter back to 0. Your opponent gets to keep his where his is at. So since you know you're going to lose your power anyway, if you have Power Siphon, you could go ahead and use Power Siphon before you score to drain your opponent to 0. Then you score, you go back to 0, keeping the playing field even and not giving him that power advantage when you score. A defensive use of Power Siphon is, let's say you're about to execute a particular combination, or you're about to score by chaining some angelic abilities together, something like that. But you're afraid that your opponent might have an annul, canceling out everything that you just did. Take a precautionary measure if you're certain that that's what they're going to do. Use Power Siphon to drain their power first, and then run the board on them with the combination that you were going to execute.
Mm-hmm. What I typically use Power Siphon for is at the end of my turn, and the next, my opponent's about to go, and my opponent's at, 5, and he thinks he's about to grab 5 cubes for movement.
Yeah.
I love playing Power Siphon right then and there.
And then they only get one.
And then it just devastates them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, that is another good one.
Yeah. All right. Cost of 1. This is called Mimic. Duplicate the last angelic script played by either player. And so it's not like you have the choice. You don't have the choice to choose which one. It's just whichever one was the last one, whether it be myself or my opponent. You get to mimic that card. How about annul? Let's say you play something, an angelic script, and then they play annul. And they're going to annul your angelic script. You could then play Mimic, so it would mimic annul, so essentially you would be annulling their annul, hence making it so that your first angelic script actually gets triggered and gets played. So, fun card. I like that one.
Another thing that I've seen used, and I've only seen it done once, but it was still awesome. A player, I can't remember which convention we were at, they did a Blur, Mimic, Liberate combo. So Blur gave them 3 movement cubes. Mimic mimicked the Blur, giving them 3 more movement cubes. Liberate broke the movement allowance, so they had 6 movement cubes, plus I want to say their power meter was at 5. So he had 11 movement cubes, and he could spend them however he wanted to. And I think that was one of the guys that ended up scoring like 18 points in one turn.
Yeah.
It was like insane. He did a really nasty combo on somebody. So the next one that we have here is Portal. It costs 2. Now Portal kind of works like Shift. If you remember earlier, we talked about Shift allows you to swap places with 2 angels that you own. Portal allows you to swap places with your angel and your opponent's angel. So let's say you have a rank 5 or 6 angel on your home space. Your opponent has a rank 1 angel on his home row. You can swap the places. Basically, you're going to allow him to get a rank 1 angel near the scoring zone in exchange for your rank 5 or 6. A defensive use of Portal. And it's one of those rare one-offs. There's a few one-offs that will happen in the game that we couldn't exactly get into in the rulebook, because then we'd have a 144-page rulebook with all of the different things that is possible in the game. But we have a living document on the Board Game Geek, our Game Geek entry page, which is a frequently asked question, which talks about extremely rare one-off situations that could happen in the game. And this is one of them with Portal. If an enemy attacks your angel, you could use Portal to swap your angel with one of your opponent's angels. So now your opponent is actually attacking one of his own. And that's the only way in the game that an enemy angel can actually attack himself, is he has to do so unknowingly with Portal.
Alright, the next card we have here costs 2 to play. It's called Exile. Remove one of your opponent's angels from field of play and place it in their void. If the pillar exists on that angel, remove the pillar to the void as well. So,
basically a kill card.
Yep. One of the good ways to remove that lead, your main angel, the Gabriel or Beelzebub. So,
that's one of the things that will definitely kill the leaders, because some people have asked that, how do you get rid of the leaders? Exile is one way. And going back to one of the other ones that we talked about earlier, Summon, that's another thing that you can use to pull Exile if the leader's out on the board. So there's actually a couple of cards that you can use to either get rid of the leader or to hinder his movement if he's trying to score to win the game.
Yeah, and it's a momentum killer as well.
So this next script was the last script that was developed, because we were trying to think of another script to incorporate it into the game. And when we came up with this one, Aaron actually disliked it at first, but he grew to love it. And
my favorite card now.
Yeah, and I actually love this one as well. So this one has a cost of 3, and it's called Enigma, and it basically does put you in an enigma. What it allows you to do when you play this card is you're allowed to choose one of your angels to automatically score. Any angel that you want to that's on the board, activated or not, because it doesn't say that it has to be activated. In exchange, you have to choose one of your opponent's angels to score as well. More often than not, you're going to pick the highest ranking angel that you have, and in exchange, you're going to let your opponent score with whatever he has that's the lowest amount on the board. But the good thing about this is you're going to score with a high ranking angel, you're going to allow him to score with a low ranking angel. Both power meters reset since you both score, so this is a pretty cool card as well.
Next one. Cost 1 to play. It's called Banish. Very similar to Exile, except just not as damaging. Remove one of your opponent's angels from field of play and place it back into your opponent's hand. Pillars move to the void, if applicable. So pillars would still go to the void, just as the way that Exile would, except instead of removing the angel and putting it in the void, all it does is it puts it back into your opponent's hand. So they can still play it on their next turn. So,
and that's another good one that you can use as a just trying to buy some time. Like if the leader is one step away from scoring and you just need to buy some time until you draw that card, you can play Banish to put his leader, Gabriel, back into his hand or whatever. Then he has to play it back on his starting zone. and march it all the way down the board again. The next card has a cost of 2, and it is called Reborn. And it is pretty much exactly what it says. It allows you to take an angel that's in your void that's already been killed in combat and place it back into your hand. Going back to one of the angels that we discussed earlier, that was a particular angel that when he activates, you're allowed to take an item that's in your opponent's void, remove it from play. That's why you would want to remove it from play, because if your opponent draws the Reborn card, he could pull that particular item, card, or whatever it is that you know he needs, he could pull it back into his hand from the void with Reborn.
Alright, cost 2 to play, we have Commandment. This is an interesting one. So what you would do with this one, you place this card on top of your opponent's angel. Opponent may not move this angel while this card is on top. Remove the card when after either player scores or when this angel is attacked. So your opponent's marching down or marching along, and you just want to stop that angel dead in its tracks. You can play this on top of it. He cannot move that angel anymore
Until somebody scores.
Until somebody scores. So, and either player can score, whichever one. And then obviously it also removes it if the angel is attacked, but obviously you're probably not going to attack, an angel that has a commandment, because then it would remove the commandment. And neat little handcuff there.
Another use with the commandment card, I've heard some people ask me about, well, why don't you just use your leader as a goalie? I've never used that strategy, and I've never seen any of our players at conventions use that strategy either. It's kind of hard to use them as a goalie when they only have a movement value of 1, and there's a lot of angelic scripts that could kill that card, which is worth the most points. If they do choose to use that strategy, however, Commandment will freeze them in spot to where they're pretty much not a goalie anymore. Granted, it's until someone scores, but it still buys you time to draw a exile or something else to kill off that leader. The next one is Shroud, and it has a cost of 1. So if you remember earlier, we talked about Placeholder, and Placeholder is a great bluff card. It allows you to place a placeholder on the board as if it were an angel and move it around. And its identity is not revealed until it attacks, is attacked, or scores. Shroud is very similar. The only difference with Shroud is you place Shroud on top of an inactive angel. So if you remember in the rules, in Kingdom, inactive angels you cannot spend movement cubes on inactive angels.
Immobile.
Yeah, inactive angels can move via shift, portal, something like that. You just can't spend movement cubes on them. With Shroud, you can. You're basically placing a cloak or a shroud over that particular angel. His identity is never revealed until he's either attacked or he attacks or he scores. So then you're probably wondering, well, if you're not revealed, wouldn't the amount of movement you spend on that angel give away his ability? Not so, because one of the things on the Shroud card is this angel may move 2 spaces per turn while shrouded. So I've actually seen this used quite a bit too. You can get Gabriel or Beelzebub out on the board, which normally has a movement of 1. Shroud it, now it can move 2. And if someone is foolish enough to attack it, insta-death, because it's the infinity symbol, so they're instantly dead.
Yeah.
So those are all of the scripts and all of the angelic abilities. We've kind of gone over everything. Hopefully, after you've had a chance to watch both videos now, you'll kind of get a sense as to how stuff can be used in combination. The angel abilities, using them in combination with the scripts, using the scripts in combination with one another. A lot of really cool things that you can do. And every convention that Aaron and I've been to, we're still seeing combinations that we were like, wow, never even thought of that. Like that was a really cool use of that particular script. And I hope that you guys are able to discover even more. I'd like to read about them on the Board Game Geek blogs about, how the other day I was playing this guy and he did a this combo and be like, wow, I never even thought of using it like that.
And to be honest with you, with as many times as I've played the game and you've played the game, every single game where we are coming up with new combos that we haven't done before, because we're presented with new opportunities and different draws and things like that. So it's really fun, and coming up with all these things is really neat. In fact, we'd love to hear about the combos that you guys come up with, so please do share them. All right?
That's it, guys. Thanks for watching.
Be good.